Stade Roland-Garros in the Bois de Boulogne in the city of Paris, France. The event, the 1989 French Open Tennis Championships. The French Open is another Nabisco Grand Prix and Virginia Slims Championship Series event. Well, the weather conditions here are much better than they have been over the last couple of days. At least the skies should stay up today. Temperatures might get up into the high 60s, but we don't expect any rain, and we do expect all the action that is scheduled should be held under relatively clear skies. Hello, everybody. I'm Barry Tompkins, and welcome to this second Thursday of the French Open Championships here at Roland-Garros. This, of course, the day traditionally for the women's semifinals. No exception this year, and it should be played under pretty good weather conditions. The number one seed, Steffi Graf, she has had no problem at all so far, and she takes on a young upstart, unseeded Monica Seles. And then it'll be Arantxa Sanchez, and she has kind of crept through the field rather quietly, very much like Mats Wilander did prior to his loss yesterday, and she will play Mary Jo Fernandez. Mary Jo, of course, was the winner over Gabriela Sabatini, the number 2 seed. Well, it seems that everybody these days is talking about Monica Seles from Yugoslavia by way of Nick Bollettieri's school in Florida. Well, so too is our own Cliff Drysdale talking about her. Here's Cliff with a few words on Monica.
Thank you, Barry. Do you remember Chris Lewis? He was a man who played against John McEnroe in the final of Wimbledon. And when he was playing that match, you wondered just how good he really was. Well, you don't have to wonder about Monica Seles. She is in the semi-final of this championship only because she deserves to be. Some of the players on the tour, some of the other women players have said, just give us a year and we'll figure out how to play against Monica Seles. I don't buy that for a minute. I think they're going to find out just how tough she is when they really take a close look at her game. Today, she's playing the number 1 seed, Steffi Graf, and Mary Carrillo. Steffi, we understand, is not well.
Yeah, you know, I think a lot of us have felt that barring injury or illness, Steffi Graf could win another Grand Slam this year, 2 in a row. But in fact, she is unwell. 2 days ago, she got a hold of a bad pizza. And actually, before her quarterfinal doubles match yesterday, she was physically ill. Her doctor has been flown in from Germany, and he's treating her. She looked pretty good in practice, but a little washed out because she's basically just been taking fluids of late. Not really has she had a real meal since that bad pizza.
Well, now let's get back to Monica Seles, Mary. You know, she hasn't actually lost on court anyway a match this year. She has a remarkable game that is just so tough to figure out. She hits the ball so early, doesn't she?
She hits it early and she hits it very hard. It's just all kinds of naked aggression. There's no one who plays point for point as aggressively as Steffi Graf, except for someone like Monica Seles. I think this could be a tough one.
It is a dream match, without a doubt. Monica Seles, so young, so new, so eager, playing against the number 1 player in the world who has really a good shot at winning her 2nd Grand Slam, which is unprecedented. Barry?
Thanks, Cliff. Monica Seles and Steffi Graf, don't you have an idea that that matchup is going to be around for years to come? Let's take a look then at the women's draw. 4 players left. Semifinals will be played, of course, today. Steffi Graf and Monica Seles, they are up at the top part of the bracket. They play in one semifinal, and in the other, Arantxa Sanchez and Mary Jo Fernandez. Mary Jo was great when she beat Gabriela Sabatini, but very frankly, we watched her match with Helen Kalesi, and she was a little bit flat. You have the feeling she's going to have to be better today if she's going to beat Arantxa Sanchez, who comes in here a hungry and a very capable player. For more on that match, here's Kim Prince and Mary Carrillo.
Thank you, Barry, and a good morning to you all. Doing a little mixing and matching today. I'm standing in for Fred Stolle. Okay, Mary Carrillo, here's the draw. Right now, 2 18-year-olds. It's been a good year for the 18-year-olds in the bottom half of the draw. Arantxa Sanchez against Mary Jo Fernandez. Now, Arantxa Sanchez may not be a familiar name to us in America, but she's a very accomplished clay court player.
Oh, she's really good. We saw her first come on, Kim, last year here when she beat Chris Evert in the 3rd round, and she's done well. She's a 7th seed, so she's gotten only 1 round further than we expected. She was in the part of the draw that lost the 3rd seed, Natalia Zvereva, right in the very first round, so she's come through very well.
And, of course, on the other side of the draw for her as well, Mary Jo Fernandez, the big news there, as we know about, she knocked off Gabriela Sabatini. Now, what does that mean? She must have a lot of confidence coming into the semifinal.
I would think she should have a lot of confidence. It's going to be a tough match between the two because obviously they know that one of them is going to get to their first Grand Slam final. So I think whoever controls their nerves and shows more aggressiveness will come through. It's an even match. I think I like Sanchez just a little bit more.
Why?
Only because she's been around bigger matches longer. You know, Mary Jo Fernandez has just now finished graduating high school. This is going to be her first entire year on the Pro Tour, and I just think Sanchez has been around and might handle the situation a little bit better. But we'll have to see.
Well, on seedings form, that would tend to be true. 7 for Sanchez, 15 for Mary Jo Fernandez. We'll be back with that match later on. Now, back to Barry.
All right, thanks very much, Kim. And then let's take a look at how these semifinalists got here, what they did to get here in the quarterfinals. That was their last match played. Steffi Graf beat Conchita Martinez 11-4, and believe me, folks, that was a much tougher match than those set scores would indicate. And Monica Seles had a relatively easy time with Manuela Mileva. That match really was not as close as the set scores would indicate. Arantxa Sanchez just breezed through, beating the number 11 seed, Yana Novotná, 2-2. And Mary Jo Fernandez did struggle with Helen Khaleesi. That was more a matter of who loses that match rather than who wins it. Well, Mary Jo Fernandez came out on top 2-5. The 1980s, Chris Drysdale, Mary Carrillo, and Kim Prince. Brett Stolle has joined our colleagues from Channel 9 Australia for this semifinal matchup. Well, Steffi Graf, the number 1 seed, and Monica Seles, the upstart youngster, 15 years old, coming up next. Steffi Graf, I think, is an extraordinary tennis player who lives a life that fits the same description. A life of intercontinental travel, demands from sponsors, officials, and fans, and basically being pulled one way and then the other.
What can you say about a young woman, not yet 20, who has already won a Grand Slam? A young woman who has all but been enshrined as the dominant athlete of her generation. A young woman who has already made more money than she could reasonably expect to spend in one lifetime. A young woman who was protected like a queen. And a young woman who, despite all of that, is a good kid. And, given the right moment, can have a bit of fun.
There are those moments there when you say, God, I want to have some time off, and it's finished now. And there's some letdowns, or sometimes there comes, but then after you have some days off, and you feel like you want to play again. So it's just, you need sometimes a couple days to get mentally away from it, and then you're looking already forward to it again.
This year at the French has been pure Steffi. She's ripped through the field without the loss of a set, pulverizing her forehand and covering the court with quicksilver speed. One senses that the only one who could beat Steffi would be Steffi herself if she somehow got bored with the monotony of it all. And so, as Steffi heads for yet another final, the public inevitably wants more.
I'm not searching for friendships out of the tennis. Actually, I want to see the tennis court all day. I want to talk about it all day. And I enjoy it, but then you have to see something different to get yourself away. And those friendships are sometimes very hard to keep because you don't see them, and especially when you're back home, and just maybe 2.5 months in Germany, and that's not really much time to keep friendships. So it's not as easy, maybe as normal.
But to look for complexity or charisma or great depth in a 19-year-old, even a 19-year-old who hasn't spent most of her waking hours on a tennis court, would be unfair. And so it's enough now to marvel at her athleticism, her dedication, and her hunger for competition. Inevitably, Steffi will grow and bloom in ways that no one can predict. There'll be plenty of time to savor the life of an adult. So it's good to remember now, as we watch this marvelous athlete, that she's doing exactly what she loves, just what she wants. And for now, that's enough.
Enough is good enough. Today, Steffi plays 15-year-old Monica Seles, who has endeared herself to the partisans of Roland Garros and, in fact, to a watching world. If veteran tennis watchers are to be believed, she is going to be around for a long time to come, at or better than the level that she's playing right now. And the level that she's playing right now is pretty good. Monica Seles has only played a handful of tournaments as a professional and has come on like gangbusters. Mary Carrillo has more on one player about whom the word phenom is probably a pretty apt description.
Every now and then in sports, there comes along an original, a great fluke, someone with no distant echo of anyone else's style. Monica Seles is a young Yugoslav in the semifinals of her first major event.
I really didn't expect anything of myself, even because I knew it was my first Grand Slam tournament. I really just do my best.
She reminds you of no one. Her strokes are distinctly her own, 2 hands off both sides, utterly natural and untaught looking. She is 15 years old, but wants to look like 20. She hits like 30. She giggles like 7. She plays the world's best today.
She's just a great player, you know. She won last year at the Grand Slam, you know, and just if I get to her, you know, just don't get beat 0-0. That's been my goal.
Is she looking forward to it?
Not really.
She has a great laugh. There's no question about it. One interesting story about her, when she won the tournament in Houston by beating Chris Evert, she went to the WITA people the night before the final and asked the names of them so that she could write her thank you notes. That's confidence.
Is just 19 years old, but the timeless honor of a Grand Slam is already hers. They have never played each other before. This is the first meeting between her and 15-year-old Monica Seles.
It should be interesting, too, because Monica at 15 looks exactly as Steffi Graf looked a couple of years ago. Nerveless, hits the ball as hard as she can, nothing to fear, not any real kind of pressure on Seles coming into this.
That ranking of 22, of course, was before this championship. That's going to change again. She will get higher. And remember that she's only played 3 tournaments this year. She has won 2, including her effort beating Chris Evert at Houston. And in Washington, she was to play Zina Garrison in the semifinals, but she sprained an ankle and had to withdraw.
She's ranked 22 now. Win or lose this match, even if she's to lose this semifinal, she will move up to between 10 and 15 in the world ranking. So this effort will be reflected immediately.
Graf, the holder of this championship and every other Grand Slam title, will serve first. In the first round, you see Shabby Reese and then Martin, Zina Garrison,
Joanne Fall, and then Manuela Maleva.
Maleva in the quarterfinals. All in straight sets.
At least to now, she has played, to my mind, like a number 3 in the world.
Are we talking Sabatini?
As 2, you mean?
Yeah.
No, I still think of Navratilova as 2.
Okay. High praise.
Really interesting to see if Seles could really just go after all of her shots. As I said, her strength is in her aggression, just like Graf. It'll be interesting to see also if we can tell if Graf is well or unwell. It would probably show up in the legs.
Her color this morning is a little pale, talking about Steffi Graf. That is not because she's playing the semi-final of the Grand Slam and she's worried about it. She's been there before. And Steffi Graf wins the first game of this best-of-3 set match, playing against 15-year-old Monica Seles of Yugoslavia. We'll be back in a minute. Seles is from Yugoslavia, as I said, but she lives in Bradenton along with her parents and brother, and she goes to Nicola Perry's tennis academy, of course.
Steffi and Monica both understands so well how to attack on serve. Graf's serve at this stage is much stronger than Seles's, so she could get into early trouble. You can hear the grunting.
Just take a look at those scores, 1-1, and then Love and 1 against Bettina Fulco, 1-1. Lafrata of Italy, 2-1. In fact, her matches have taken on the average just about an hour on clay. So she's played for 5 hours in the French.
More grunting. You know, she's got two-handed backhand, two-handed forehand, and stereo grunt to Seles. Swing volley right into Graf.
It's a remarkable shot, isn't it? She hits it so close to the body. Watch this. The approach shot, as you saw, was one-handed. Then she just grabs it with two hands and flails away right at Steffi's feet. Ooh, just right.
She's going for it, though, isn't
Oh,
she? She's
yeah.
trying to take it right to Graf, right from the start.
Two-handed backhand, as you can see. She's a left-hander primarily, and she hits the two-handed forehand most of the time as well. Except that one there, she takes, as you see, the right hand off it and hits it like a left-handed forehand, but that was way long. Her preference, though, if she has time, is to hit it with two hands.
That short one that stays low to Seles's side is obviously going to be a tough shot for her with her grip, the way she is, the way she normally approaches forehands. That one's foreign to her and uncomfortable.
Only one set in 41 Grand Slam matches, no sets in this championship.
The one set was to Navratilova, last year's Wimbledon final. Matter of fact, Martina was up a set in 2-love before Graf totally took over. That's what I'm talking about, the way Seles attacks on serve. There is no other woman except for this woman who consistently goes for the returns of serve so well, and it's such a good play, especially in women's tennis, when that tends to be the shortest ball you see in a rally.
Only Conchita Martinez deuced a set with her, got to 6-4 in the second set. Otherwise, nobody else has got even close.
But it was after that Conchita Martinez match, Cliff, that Graf took ill.
Well, she's made a few unforced errors, but Mary, I had the same feeling when I watched her play against Chris Evert in Houston. It's just a matter of time before she gets it all together. Of course, that may not happen in this match because Graf, with her power, could just overpower her like she does everyone else. We'll see. Game point. Terrific.
Swinging just as Graf does, throwing her entire body into it. Opens up the court with this, and another swing volley winner.
Well, say all you like about Monica Seles. Steffi Graf says, I've got my own tune that I dance to. 3-love in the first set. Seles, just relatively speaking, little thing. She's about 5'4", a little bit more than that. Weighs about 100 pounds.
She dresses like the ball kids.
Same fella.
She's probably old. She's probably younger than a couple of them too. She'd come into the tournament without any kind of clothing contract. As a matter of fact, she said she was buying her clothes at a store in New York. She still hasn't signed on, but she is wearing a popular tennis line now. I'm sure after this performance, a lot of people are going to be trying to snap up Monica Seles.
Watch carefully. It's interesting to see the difference between her forehand and her backhand side, even with the two-handed shot. The two-hander she hits a little bit later than she does the legitimate backhand. And that's so often true. Of course, she will hit the forehand usually a little later. David Markin, Gordon Jorgensen of the USTA. Markin is the president. Jorgensen, the past president. Watch.
Monica won the European and Junior World titles when she was 10 years old. She was named Yugoslavia Sportswoman of the Year when she was 12 years old. She's proud of that. She says, before me, the youngest woman to have won that was 18 years old. Nick Bollettieri first saw her back in 1985 when she won the Orange Bowl. By 86, she started spending a couple of months at least at Bollettieri. She's been there now the last couple of years. Unbelievably hard worker. Bollettieri said the only other person he ever had with Monica's attitude is Brian Gottfried, who is famous for being a workhorse. Here's her first game.
He wins the first game, her first game of the match, but he's down 3 games to 1.
The interesting thing is Nick Bollettieri does not want Monica to win this match. He said it would be too much, entirely too soon. Too much would be expected of her. She'd have all kinds of crazy pressures on her. And there's still a lot he still wants to work on with her game, her serve in particular, her volleying.
Well, those sound like words to me. I think it would certainly not do any harm to win it. Boris Becker, of course, won Wimbledon that year when he was so young, and then he won it again the following year. Then enjoyed some of a slump, but it didn't hurt him, I don't think, to win it.
There's Nick Bollettieri. A lot of his pupils were entered into the French. Everyone expected to be watching Andre Agassi at this stage of the tournament, his most famous athlete, but it's Seles, who's still alive.
Agassi beaten by Jim Courier in the men's singles.
Another Bollettieri protege.
And then Courier lost to Chesnikov. Chesnikov yesterday beat Mats Wielander. He's in the semis of the singles. To play young Michael Chang of the USA. Game point for Graf to go up 4-1 first set.
Premier service.
Oh. 5'8" and 106 pounds. She can waltz the ball. Normally, when you've got two hands, you just can't create that kind of power because you tend to have a naturally short backswing. But Seles is so loose that even with the short backswing, she gets a lot of great racket speed. It's kind of like Pippi Longstocking.
Avantage, Mademoiselle Graf.
She misses those sometimes, like you saw her miss that one, but you never feel like she's going to miss them for long, do you? There's no real mechanical reason for it to happen. So it is game point for Graf.
Je, Mademoiselle Graf.
4 games to 1 for the #1 player in the world, the holder of the Grand Slam. That's all 4 Grand Slam championships in 1 year. And, of course, the holder of the French. We'll be back. Clearly, it is going to be a match because Monica Seles has let Steffi Graf know that she's going to be able to return serve if she gets anything short at all. But at this point, it has been all Graf, 4 games to 1. I mean, the only real chink that you've seen, Mary, is something that you brought up, and that is maybe short to the forehand side. But you know, they used to say that about Connors for years. But it's just not that easy to do. You can't go out against somebody and say, hey, you know the way to beat him is just hit short to the forehand all the time.
I still think Graf separates herself from Seles, especially on serve. Graf's got the best serve in women's tennis right now.